please hit that subscribe button. Hey everybody, better suited to win the Stanley Cup this season. If you are new to the channel, Washington Capitals, the Boston Bruins.
Locked on and he scored! And we're live. Hey everybody. Tonight, I want to take a deeper look at the Carolina Hurricanes, who are one of my favorite young and up-and-coming teams in the Eastern Conference. And particularly, I want to look at why I think they are a dark horse contender to have a chance to win the Stanley Cup. Not 2 or 3 years down the road, but this coming season in 2021 in the NHL. Before we fully get into it, I just ask that you please subscribe if you are new. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't yet. Both of those things help out so much and are very, very much appreciated. But let's start talking about the Hurricanes here. I'm going to bring up Cap Friendly. This is a team to watch out for in the East. There is so much to like here with the Carolina Hurricanes. As you can see, they've got just under $1 million in cap space here, so they are not over the cap. They don't have to move on from anybody. There are a number of teams who are over the cap right now. Carolina is not in that situation. They are still in decent shape cap-wise, and their entire NHL roster, as you can see here, signed for next season. So they have a big offseason coming up after this coming year in 2021, heading into the 21-22 season. Obviously, you see a lot of UFAs here, a lot of RFAs as well, even both of their goaltenders. But they're good for this coming year, and that's big. And this is going to be the team that they put out there on the ice, and we know what they're going to look like, and they are going to be good. So Carolina is not a team I think that a lot of people are talking about as far as Stanley Cup goes. I think a lot of people have them as a playoff team. They're certainly a good team, but not a lot of people are looking at them as a true Stanley Cup threat. And I am. I think this is absolutely a team that could go on a run in the postseason and compete for the Stanley Cup this year. The one thing holding them back, and I'm going to come out right at the beginning and say the one thing that is the biggest question mark for Carolina without a doubt is their goaltending right down here. James Reimer and Peter Mrazek. Are you going to win a Stanley Cup with James Reimer and Peter Mrazek as your goaltending tandem? That's the big question, because when you look at everywhere else for Carolina, they are loaded. Their defense is absolutely stacked at the NHL level, and they have, if we scroll way down here, they have Jake Bean and Joey Keane knocking on the door, looking to take a spot on that NHL roster. So they're really like 9-10 defensemen deep. If you add in Roland McEwen, they're 10 defensemen deep. Gustav Forsling as well has played at the NHL level. You're 11 defensemen deep now on the back end for the Carolina Hurricanes as far as defensive depth goes. That is unbelievable and unmatched anywhere else in the NHL. They have 11 guys that they could legitimately play at the NHL level on defense. That is almost 2 full defense corps. It's unbelievable. And then you look at their forward group and the incredible young talent that they have here up front with this group. Guys like Ajo, Teravainen, Svechnikov, Trochek, Dzingel. I mean, it just keep Marty Nietzsche, who we're going to talk a little bit more about as we get into this. It's unbelievable the amount of depth and talent that they have up front, the incredible defense core that they have. It's the goaltending. That's the question with them. It's the goaltending. And I can tell you this, if they go out and make a move for a goaltender, whether it's this offseason or whether it's at the trade deadline this coming year, if they go out and make a move for a goaltender and bring in a legitimate number one starter who people really trust can lead them through the playoffs and to a Stanley Cup, they automatically jump into favorite category in my opinion, because everywhere else they are absolutely loaded right now. You look at this as we start to go in depth here. You look at this defense core, Dougie Hamilton and Jacob Slavin as your top pair. Hamilton's 27, Slavin is 26. I still think Jacob Slavin is the most underrated player in the NHL. This kid should be getting Norris Trophy votes. He should be in the Norris Trophy conversation year in and year out. He's an incredible two-way defenseman who can put up points and play shutdown defense as well. Jacob Slavin is unbelievably good and absolutely is completely underrated right now in the NHL. You have a great D-man next to him in Dougie Hamilton. Their second pair, Brady Shea and Brett Pesce. Are you kidding me? That would be a number one pair on some teams. That's their second pair, Shea and Pesce. Shea came over last year from the Rangers. Pesce's been there. 26 years old, 25 years old. Right now, their top four, you have 27-year-old Dougie Hamilton, 26-year-old Jacob Slavin, 26-year-old Brady Shea, and 25-year-old Brett Pesce. Oh my God. And then you've got your bottom pair of Jake Gardiner and Hayden Fleury right now. Gardner's the old man on this decor at 30 years old. Fleury's 24. That's going to be your bottom pair. And then you have Joakim Ryan as a seventh defenseman. And then, like I said, you have Jake Bean and Joey Keane absolutely chomping at the bit to get an NHL job. Jake Bean, I think, is going to try and steal Jake Gardner's job this year. He's going to be in training camp trying to take that bottom pair left D spot and take his job. Joey Keane also is 21 years old. Bean's 22. Keane's 21. He's going to be looking to take an NHL job. You have Roland McEwen, who's a little bit older at 24, but he could come up in a depth role if need be. And Gustav Forsling, who's 24, has played NHL games in his career and could come up if he's needed. Again, they're so deep on the back end. And then when you look at this forward group, I mean, you've got Sebastian Ajo, who also is one of the most underrated players in the NHL. He had an unbelievable season last year, career high in goals, just absolutely lit it up on the score sheet last year. You've got Teuvo Teravainen, who's been incredibly solid since coming over from Chicago. And you have Andrei Svechnikov playing in the wing on their left line, who on the left wing on their first line, who is only 20 years old, continues to get better and better and better, and is probably going to score 30 plus goals next year, if not 40 goals next year. That's just your top line. And you have Vincent Trochek, who they brought in to center the second line. He had a bit of a down year last year, but he's only 27, and he showed in his time with Florida that he can be a legitimate top six center and put up, 50 plus, 60 plus points. They've got Jordan Stahl down the middle as well, who's the captain of the team. He's 32 years old. He's still got 3 years left on his contract. He's going to drop to a third-line center role, which at this point in his career I think is much more fitting for him, much better for him. They've got Ryan Dzingel on the wing who can score. They've got Warren Foegele, who really is a great third-line guy. They've got Brock McGinn, who's also a really good bottom six forward. Jordan Martin, a character player who can chip in. Jesper Fast coming over from the New York Rangers, who they signed as a free agent. He is going to be replacing Justin Williams as that third-line right wing most likely. Foss is a guy who is 28 years old, but has played the last 6 years in New York. He brings experience. He brings playoff experience with the Rangers. And he's a guy who I think is really going to help lessen the blow of that loss of Justin Williams and might end up actually putting up better point totals than Justin Williams did last season. They've got Marty Nietzsche, who I think could move up to the second-line right wing. I really think Nietzsche might move up to the second-line right wing and take Nito Niederreiter's spot because this kid has a ton of talent. He's only 21 years old. He really showed how good he can be last year. He's still just coming into his own at the NHL level, and I think he has a chance to have a breakout season. You're not going to bury him on the fourth line for long. I think he ends up in the top six at some point this year. That Nino Niederreiter, again, I think he's very overpaid at $5.25 million for what he brings. He's probably going to get knocked down to a fourth line spot just because of how good this forward group is and how many of these young players are starting to really produce at the NHL level. Then you have Drew Shore, who's likely to kind of be an extra forward and play that kind of depth role. But they're loaded up front, and if we go to their depth chart here, and look at what these lines could look like. Again, they still have Nino Niederreiter on the second line wing. I think he drops to the fourth line and Nietzsche moves up to the second line. Maybe not to start the season, but at some point this season, I think that is going to happen. And Nietzsche is going to solidify himself as a top six player. And Niederreiter is going to solidify himself as a guy probably on the way out that they'd be trying to move at some point. But look at this. This top line is just unreal. Svechnikov, Aho, and Teravainen, one of the best top lines in the league. Sebastian Ajo, I think, is going to be probably in the top 5, if not the top 3 for Selke Trophy votes next year. Incredibly good two-way center. Svechnikov can score with the best of them. Teravainen is an incredibly good playmaker who also has scoring ability. Aho can put the puck in the net. It's just an incredibly talented young top line with guys at 20, 23, and 26 years old. At the second line, again, you've got Trochek down the middle. You've got Dzingel, who's shown that he can score in his NHL career, and you can move him up and down the lineup as needed. They have Niederreiter here. Like I've said, I'm switching him with Nietzsche at some point. This third line, though, really, I mean, talk about one of the best third lines in the NHL. You've got Jordan Stahl down the middle, plays a great two-way game. You've got Warren Foegele, who can be physical, can score, and can impact the game in a lot of different ways on the left side. And you have Jesper Foss now on the right side, replacing Justin Williams, who can bring, 10 to 15 goals, 25-ish points, and really fill in a great third line bottom 6 role. And that leaves Brock McGinn, Jordan Martinook on the fourth line with Nietzsche or with Niederreiter, whoever plays down there. I mean, they're both physical guys. They're character guys who really play the right way, get involved physically, bring a lot of energy. You can also chip in some offense as well. And then on the defense, like I said, this decor is just unbelievable. Slavin, Hamilton, Shea, Pesce, Gardner, Fleury. You're going to have Ryan as an extra. You're going to have Bean and Keane chomping at the bit to get NHL time. I mean, this team is just absolutely loaded. So that's really what I look at when I see this team. They are better than a lot of people think, in my opinion. And I think they have a shot to make a real run this season. They have a shot to make a real run this year. I'm not saying they're guaranteed to do it. They play in a very difficult Metro Division, which is the best division in the NHL. There's a lot of great competition there, and by no means it's guaranteed. And like I said, the goaltending with Reimer and Mrazek is a huge question mark. If they go out and get a legitimate number 1 goaltender, that launches them even higher in my favorites category. I still think even without that Peter Mrazek got hot and led them to the conference finals 2 years ago. Could he potentially get hot again and you could ride him with an even better team in front of him now than what they had 2 years ago? Absolutely. And the last thing I want to touch on here, because it would be a big mistake if I didn't, and that is their coach, Rod Brind'Amour. And he is another guy that I think takes them from that playoff team category to that legitimate Stanley Cup contending category. And it's because Rod Brind'Amour is one of the most respected and well-liked coaches by his players in the league. These Carolina players absolutely love playing for Rod Brind'Amour, and he is a guy who gets the most out of his players, and he's been shown to do that with the Hurricanes over the past couple of years. And I think having him as their coach really, really kind of kicks them up a notch, because they are going to go all out, high effort, 100% of the time for Rod Brind'Amour because they love him as their coach so much. And when you have that kind of effect on a team, you can push that team to be even better than what they are at face value. And this is already a damn good team at face value. So, again, I am very, very high on the Hurricanes heading into this season. If they can go out and get a goalie, I think that'd be spectacular. If not, I still think they're going to be a really good team. But the goaltending is the only question I really have about them. Their defense is absolutely loaded and extremely deep. Their forward group is loaded with young talent. This is a team that could make a huge splash this year and end up being a lot better than people are giving them credit for, and could really, really make a run at the Stanley Cup. Not a couple years down the road, but literally this coming season. And they could be a surprisingly good team this year. So I'm very high on Carolina. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the video, the links to our Patreon, merchandise store, and donation link are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.